Hey Gavers,
it's Sean
and Bree,
and we are the hosts of I Can Explain podcast,
a podcast where we answer the questions you are too afraid to ask about being LGBTQ+.
from queer dating
to LGBTQ+ sex
to coming out and everything in between.
This lesbian
And this gay
have got you covered with our queer experiences.
Subscribe to I Can Explain podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.
That's I Can Explain podcast. See you around the neighborhood.
What is going on? You are listening and watching Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition. And I'm your host, Steve V, alongside Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. I'm getting decorating advice in the chat.
With your Tags podcast tee on, I love to see that. Chi-Chi's out there. Not sure if I said it, but it is episode 370. I may have said that. On this Pride Month kickoff, it is June 1st, you guys, when we record this, the kickoff of Pride Month. So happy Pride, everybody. Super excited about that. Kodi, what are you looking forward to? We got a lot to talk about with Pride Month. And before we get into the download of all the drama associated with the month ahead and the celebrations, let's start off positive. What are you looking forward to? People put in the chat, what are you looking forward to most this Pride Month? And we'll read it throughout the hour. But Kodi, what is your most proudest moment that you're looking forward to?
I'm just looking forward to being happy and gay and free and living my most authentic life. Yes, you know, I love me a little Ultra Nate moment. So,
okay, yeah.
I'm looking forward to going to Pride and partying and living a nice gay life, doing some kinky things at Pride too.
Yeah, well, one little known thing, it comes every Pride Month here I was going to say here in New York, I'm in LA, but in New York is Folsom East, and it's always the third week before Pride, and they do it typically in Chelsea near the Eagle, because then everybody runs over there. It's an outdoor leather Pride Fest, much smaller than Folsom, San Francisco, of course, but still fun in its own right. And this year they're doing it on the iconic Christopher Street, which typically is where Pride evolves and enters to. So we've got to go, Kodi, and I know we have another listener that we're gonna meet up with, Jen. So
I can't wait.
That's going to be part of my celebration. And I'm just I feel like we've had a break and it's time to really kind of get out on the streets and get back to the old way of how we celebrated Pride with this long-standing let loose. I mean, even the parade has been virtual for the last several years. So it's crazy. What's Daddy saying here?
He's going to his first Pride in the county he lives in.
First Pride, tell us the county. We want to know. Yeah, good for you and congratulations. Happy Pride to you. Yeah, let us know the county that you live in. We'd love that. Daniel says, looking forward to celebrating 1 year of marriage with my husband later this month. Wow, congratulations, Daniel. That's a huge feat and a great month to celebrate that in Pride Month, right, Kodi?
Right. I would love that. Maybe I'm thinking about getting married in June now too. Hello.
Oh, hey, Juneteenth it up.
That's right.
Well, we've got to talk. We'll continue to read off what you're doing and what you're looking forward to this month. But President Biden declares June LGBTQ Pride Month amid unconscionable attacks. His words, President Joe Biden declared June LGBTQ Pride Month while calling attention to the unconscionable attacks on the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex community. Quote, I often say that America can be defined by one word, possibilities. He wrote in a proclamation released this past Tuesday. This month, we celebrate generations of LGBTQI people who have fought to make the possibilities of our nation real for every American. But he went on to condemn the recent slew of bills that have been targeting our community, rights considered by state legislatures nationwide. The annual number has skyrocketed in recent years. Just if you look about in 2018, there were 41 anti-LGBTQ bills that were filed in state legislatures. We'll compare that to 238 in just the first 3 months of this year. And according to a new NBC News analysis conducted in March, as of this past May, there's more than 320 anti-LGBTQ bills that have been introduced. And this is according to the Human Rights Campaign. When you heard that, Kodi, what did you think? We really need Pride this month. I mean, more than ever. Forget about the hiatus. It's all the anti-bills that we're seeing being, whether they go through or not, it's atrocious to me.
Yeah. And it really means a lot to me that President Biden is actually vocalizing that and putting his word behind LGBTQ people, but it's time for him to stand up and actually do something about it, especially with all these bills coming out. Until he actively stands up for Americans' rights and freedoms, it's kind of just lip service to me. So I really need for him to stand up and actually do something on that front.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I was at my friend's restaurant in Palm Springs this weekend called Asia SF Palm Springs, and it's a transgendered restaurant. Essentially, they perform. It's larger than life, the original being in San Francisco. And they were telling me, the owners were telling me a really awesome story of one of the transgendered hosts who saw this family and it appeared to be a little girl. And when she went up to the little girl, she asked her, "What's your name?" And she said, "Olivia." And actually she's a trans boy, and she's only 11 years old. 11 years old, trans boy, but was dressed up, in her words, in drag. So an 11-year-old, let me break it down. 11-year-old trans boy that is dressing up in drag because he knew that he was going to Asia SF, and it's all about creating an illusion. And when asked, well, what is your name? Because Olivia, what's your trans boy name? He said, Olivia. Why would I change my birth name? Because that was my name. And that to me is true progression. And it's an 11-year-old today who's teaching us how to evolve. And so all those people that say children don't know who they are, this 11-year-old Olivia, trans boy dressed up in drag, is teaching us all about coming out and what it means to be trans in 2022. And I just think that was so progressive on so many levels.
I do too. I think it's beautiful, and it goes to show you that growing up in a household, because I'm just assuming, but I feel like Olivia's parents really raised them with a sense of self and gender exploration, and it didn't demonize, gender exploration for a child, and it really shows in that child. And it further hits the point home that saying gay and exposing kids to different cultures does not diminish the child. It allows them to blossom into a more thoughtful and kind and considerate individual. A good friend of mine is raising their child at gender full, is what he likes to say, but without any gender pronouns until the child, he just had the baby maybe about 2 or 3 months ago. I don't know. I'm not good with baby dates or anything like that, or mathing. You know this.
Right.
But gender neutral pronouns, and I can't wait to see how that child turns out and develops. So I just know that they're going to be amazing.
Tell us again what they're having you refer to the child as? They, them pronouns. Got it. They, them. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
And it's not like they don't allow, because I was really worried because I bought a gift for the baby. I was worried about not buying pink or blue or anything. They said, no, buy anything you want. Really? Good. But you don't have to really limit yourself to pink or blue or anything, because they would like for the child to experience everything so that the child can make an informed decision. So I love that.
Yeah. And it's so easy to me. I was around some older LGBTQ this weekend, and some of them were expressing to me how difficult it is to refer to people as they or them, and I'm like, it's really not that hard. You get used to it.
I mean, yes, but
maybe at first, but I think it's just like anything. You just get in the practice of it and you start saying they. I refer to people all the time as they, and even if they're not, if they're he or she, it's just if the more you train yourself and if the intention behind it, this is what they want to be referred to, it's not that hard. So I think we can learn it that easy. Yeah. Go ahead.
I agree with you, but I also have to say that don't beat yourself too much. Don't beat yourself up too much about it, even if you slip up a few times. I'm sure that people are perfectly gracious out there when it comes to pronouns and things of that nature. Then as long as you don't mean any harm by it, I'm sure that people will be understanding. So
exactly. Anybody saying anything before we move on?
El Ray says the kids give us hope. And Daniel says he couldn't agree with that more. And Junior says, let's not forget that Joe Biden is only one person. We need to get those hateful representatives out of our areas by voting. He can't do it alone. And I agree. But I also added to that statement that he can do more than what he's doing. And that he's right. We all need to be doing more. So, yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's a funny clip that I'm going to put on TAGSPodcast.com. For those of you who watch Hacks, the actress Meg Stalter, she plays the assistant to the agent, the main agent on Hacks. And she's the one that's always totally inappropriate. They're always in an HR meeting. She's hilarious. I believe she's queer, Meg Stalter. And last year, she did a whole thing on mocking corporations that celebrate Pride Month, starting off the video with "Hi, gay," and it's all about this butter churning shop back at the butter shop. With another "Hi, gay," and it's so funny because it's essentially a take on, we all know we're going to start seeing rainbow flags all over every Citibank. Every Gap, every Old Navy moment. Some we often welcome more than others. Some seem to come out of the woodworks, and you're really down. And it's a really funny moment. But she came out with that last year. This year's is even more hilarious. She's still at the butter shop where they make candles and somehow butter. It's hilarious, and it's her reading a script as if she's this Heidi-like character. Did you watch it, Kodi?
I watched the clip. Yes, it is so funny. Hi, gay. I was going to say that to you. Hi, gay.
Hi, gay.
And she's so awkward. It is just, it's classic. She's so hilarious to me.
Right. She's clearly reading this script that as a corporation she's supposed to, but they're like a smaller corporation, and she's the rep for this doing it. And she doesn't read all of the script correctly. And it's even funny seeing that, including at the very end, she says, okay, I forget the guy that she keeps referencing on the video. She says, you can turn the video off now.
Yeah.
Turn it off. Yeah. It is hilarious.
That's what Joe Biden sounds like to me.
Does he? Oh my goodness. Gosh. Please help us. Well, let's move on. And I want to know what you think of this. Speaking of coming out on various levels, Gerard Carmichael, we talked about him recently. He has a really amazing Netflix special out right now that's really personal, where he comes out, talks a lot about his family, talks a lot about being Black and gay. Did you watch it, Kodi?
Yes, I did.
What did you think?
It's good. I love Jerrod Carmichael.
Yeah, really intimate, really raw. The jokes are hidden in there, but when you hear one, they're so hilarious, and I love it so much. Let me read you this really quick. Finding this lock button. Yes. And Gerard, yes. So 2 weeks. So he was recently on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and comedian Jerrod Carmichael appeared on the program to talk about his latest special, Rethanual, in which he came out as gay, and the response he's been receiving. He was also recently on Showtime's DeSeuss and Miro. Did I say that right, Kodi?
You got it, man. Okay, you got it. You had a little Latin flair on it, but it was so good.
Well, so he's recently talking. So he's on DeSeuss. Is it DeSeuss? Jesus.
Like Jesus.
Thank you. He was on Jesus and Miro on Showtime recently, where he's referencing being on the Ellen show. Essentially, he was talking about a joke that they totally eliminated from the final edit of his guest appearance. He said, I did a joke on Ellen. They took that shit out, he revealed. It requires context, though. And he said it's Freudian in nature. But the punchline without context, so here's the punchline, was me realizing how much sexual desire is rooted in, well, like everything from trauma to childhood experiences. And I said, I realized that if something on a guy doesn't remind me of my mother, I can't come. Well, you can imagine how well that went over. He said Ellen looked at him like he was nuts. The pulled back like, oh shit, here we go. And even Carmichael said on, and that wasn't, he knew that it really wasn't fit for daytime television at 2:00 in the afternoon. It just sort of came out.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that it was inappropriate for Ellen.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
If anybody can relate, it should be Ellen, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, right. It's just the use of the word come.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I get it now.
And maybe the whole vibe of if somebody doesn't, if some part of the person you're having sex with doesn't remind you of your mother is cringeworthy to so many people. I get where he was coming from. If you know the backstory of, he's right though, because he on the Showtime show, he went into further detail of how so many of us, the trauma that we all suffer from, and all the ways we develop. In so many ways, us gay men are so not immature, but have so much to learn about our sexuality. We may come out, some of us come out later in life, but we're always learning about our sexuality. And a lot of it is deeply embedded and rooted of our childhood. And it takes a good therapy session or just some really good looking back on your own individual self to realize that's why I have that fetish. That's why I like these kind of guys. That's why I close up when da 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 da. And
tell me more.
I will. I could share a little bit more in a little bit on my past childhood and where I got some of those issues. You know, I used to hang out with a lot of, everybody was always older than me. Everybody from, I was on a gymnastic team.
Okay.
They were always older than me, and talk about the fantasies there. And just given what we wore, I was always hanging out with my sister, who she's 9.5 years older than me. And so I was always around older people. So I developed early on kind of a crush and a respect for my elders, but I always did well in groups that were my elders. I had daddy issues for a while there too. Yeah. And liked all of that growing up, like older male representation as the daddy figure. But when you heard the comment that Gerard said about mother and coming, did you cringe? Did you see where he was coming from, or what were your thoughts?
So I love Jerrod Carmichael, but this joke was just it was too much. It really was for daytime
too
TV.
Much in general, or too much for Ellen?
Too much for daytime TV in general. I mean, I don't think could have gotten away with it on Wendy Williams even. And that's a much more edgy show, I feel like. But it's still daytime TV. Especially because there was no we didn't hear the joke in context on. Now you got me saying Jesus. Jesus and Miro. So I think it takes the proper setup and the proper context in order to actually get the joke and see where he's coming from. I think in the article it stated it was more about what's that famous play? Oh my God, I gotta go back and take a look at it now.
Just go on with your point. Yeah.
Yes. So I think that it takes proper context, and I think it definitely comes down to him coming into his own and really exploring and being free and in any given setting is something that he actually mentioned on. So talking about before, if he were allowed to live authentically when he was a kid or an adolescent, he would know how to read the room a little bit better, I feel like. And I think that because he hasn't really explored his sexuality or his gender preference or what have you, or any of that, that he is pushing those boundaries now. And I think that, and he's going to find his footing, and he's going to be even more comfortable when it comes in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of his humor right now, I mean, his special, he's been around for a while apparently, but the special that we are all talking about, Rothaniel, is all mostly based on him coming out. His humor right now, at least, is all about coming out and being authentic and being an authentic Black man. He says further on in the Showtime show, I don't want to waste time, because they were asking him, so how do you feel so comfortable being so real and raw and talking so intimately about things like your mother and your sexuality? And he said, quote, I don't want to waste time. Everything just feels like a waste if you're lying. Lies beget lies, and you become mirrored in it. And that part of it gave me context. Yeah, I think the joke probably fell flat on Ellen, but I think I really like where he's coming from these days. I like the authenticity that he's putting out there. It reminds me a little bit of, who's the rapper that we talk about all the time that's Black and gay and out there?
Lil Nas X?
Lil Nas X, in a different way. Lil Nas is putting himself there. It's really pushing the boundaries of what it means to be Black and gay, or a person of color at least. And he's in the comedian market, Gerard. And I think this is his way. He's not holding back. If you look at lesbian, JoJo Siwa is also putting herself out there as a young lesbian, or I don't think she's lesbian. I think she's queer, but with a girl. And so I think they're unapologetic of who they are. These aren't examples that we saw back in my growing up days. And I think it's so refreshing. They may put their foot in their mouth at times, but that's okay. I think if they're not really hurting anybody, and in his case, they just simply edited him out of the Ellen show.
And he got a nice antidote for Jesus and Miro.
Yeah, I wish he came on our show to talk about it on our show. And
let's send him an invitation.
Yes, exactly. I think I will. Yeah. What are the people saying before we move on?
So the people are saying, first of all, they're roasting me in the comments right now for something I put in, which I love, but you better watch yourself, bitch. Okay. So Teddy says that he loves Jerrod Carmichael and that Jerrod Carmichael can get it. And I said, hit him up. And I love that. So
sexy.
Yes, he's so cute. And that on Ellen, you can't say come on Ellen anyway. So that might be part of it. And El Rey says, thank God for a 10-second delay. And Blake says, even though she's off now, she should have tried it. And I'm not sure what the context of that was. Oh, and then Teddy says, this is hilarious. He says, he doesn't think that Ellen has had an orgasm since 1997. I didn't say that. That is a listener that said that.
That's a listener. We're blaming it on Ellen. The listenership. Yeah, right. Exactly.
If you ever hear this, Ellen, no, I didn't say that. Okay.
Yeah, right.
But I did say that was the year I was born. And so they started roasting me for that. 1997.
Well, I love it. Let's move on. In other news of people coming out, Isaiah Rashad, who we talked about, he's a hip hop artist, rapper. We recently talked about, he was at Coachella. He had a sex tape leak. But at Coachella, I don't know if you remember, but we were talking about how he addressed it on a huge screen where he confronted it, which I thought was really cool. But that's all he did. He just kind of a so what moment and I am who I am kind of thing. Well, recently he has addressed it. He hinted at it at his sex tape at Coachella, like I said. But in a recent Patreon exclusive interview with fellow rapper Joe Budden, Rashad elaborated on how he identifies sexually and how the leak of the tape impacted him for the better. Quote, I'd say I'm sexually fluid, Rashad states before Budden produced for a further explanation. Quote, I'm still learning about it myself. I'm putting my head in the books to find out the basics of it, but basically, I'm not in full control when I walk into a room of who I'm attracted to.
Okay.
Just because I grew up in high school, I dated this type of person. In college, dated this type of person. Doesn't mean that as an adult, it's always going to be like specific, but I'm more so attracted to a personality and I'm attracted to the intellect. And just to give you a little bit of insight on what was on that sex tape, it was oral sex, blowjobs between him and two other guys. So pretty explicit, but hey, yeah, I'm not mad at it. He's sexy too.
He is sexy.
Yeah, I think he's taken, what do you call it? Taken lemons and made lemonade out of it because
for sure.
Yeah, these days
we're talking about it.
Anybody that comes out that there's going to be a video. That's why you got to know when you send those videos to somebody or when you send those clips that you never know. You might be the next but you're up on the screen and somebody's going to use that video towards you, but you got to own it. He's owned it. And I think saying that sexually fluid, that's where he's at. Joe Budden actually pushed him a little bit further. I don't know if you watched the clip. I'll post this on TAGSPodcast. Like, what does that mean? And asked him a little bit about monogamy and so on and so forth. By the way, Isaiah has 2 kids that he's raised as teenagers now, I believe. But that's just part of his family. It's not how he defines by any means. What did you think when you heard this? I think it's pretty cool of Isaiah.
This. Oh, yeah, for sure. And I'm so glad that he's getting ahead of it and putting in the work to understand his sexuality. I think this show's underlying theme today is self-discovery, sexual discovery. And I couldn't be more proud of people, that people are out there and just discovering more about themselves.
Right.
Stop investigating your sexuality and who you are as a person, because it's ever growing. And once you think that you are done, you've only reached a midway point and there's always that next level to go. So, and I think that that's even more poignant for people of color and Black people. And it's a long time coming. So props to this man. I love him.
Yeah, absolutely. I do too. I'm really taken by him. So I'm going to follow him and check out his music.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, we've got some advice to give in a little bit. Just stay tuned for that. But I have to talk about this one story that you, Kodi, offline were like, what? I don't believe this. When a man, I'm jumping around, Kodi, a man developed sudden amnesia after having sex with his wife, completely forgetting his own wedding anniversary party the day before. And it's you want to listen up because it's an actual condition that can happen. So a man visited a hospital after getting amnesia 10 minutes after having sex with his wife. He couldn't retain new information and his memory of the day before was temporarily wiped. He was diagnosed with, get it, transient global amnesia, a poorly understood condition that can be linked to sex. A man got amnesia 10 minutes after having afternoon sex with his wife, temporarily wiping his memory of the previous day and rendering him unable to retain new information. He was 66 too, and apparently in the article, it happened once before. The good news is he retained it all back, but most cases have been reported in men in between 50 and 70.
Wow.
I'm kind of they don't know exactly what causes TGA, but it has been linked to several activities, including physical exertion immersion in cold or hot water, emotional stress, pain, and sex. Okay, well, that just summarized all of our lives. I mean, come on. We're all working out like fiends and taking hot and cold showers in emotional stress, pain, and sex, of course. So, oh God, did that scare you when you heard it? I mean, it didn't scare me in the end. I think it's totally rare. We're not meant to share this with you, but it was so bizarre to me that it happened on, he couldn't remember the day before when he remarried his wife. How depressing.
It's insane. I just think that I can't even imagine having sex and then it wiping my memory. I think that's the ultimate compliment. Like, the sex is so good, it made me forget who I am. That's goals right there. Okay.
Goals. Yes.
It's a way of kind of getting out of, if you forget your anniversary, like, oh baby, you were just so good that it made me forget our anniversary, and then send them the article for what's it called again? I forgot already.
Right.
See, the sex is so good. That's why it made me forget the name of the disease.
Teddy says, I had an ex that I wish gave me that disease. Yeah, exactly. We all do, where we can forget the last 2 years. What else is anyone? He got some of that. Blake says, hi, Blake. He got some of that geriatric good, and temporarily lost his mind. Exactly. Mr. TGS was getting it in. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's nuts. I've heard of a few other conditions that can happen during sex that, besides the obvious of just having a heart attack and dying, but there's some weird conditions that can happen at times. And the good news on this one, it's hugely rare.
Okay.
And he got his memory back. So let's not get crazy about this. But I just thought, wow, I have to talk about this because it's like so wild.
Yeah, that's cool. And like I said, I'm aiming for it. So when Joe forgets who you are, you watch out for it, okay?
Exactly. Well, James wrote into us on our Discord channel. James, I hope you don't mind that we are reading this, but we thought you posted on our Discord channel. You guys can join our Patreon member page. We call it our Tags Sex Pause community, where you get some extra special perks like last night's deeper conversation that we have once a month. And
So
boy,
much
Kodi,
fun.
we had a lot of fun on that. We were talking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did we had a smaller group last night, but it was a round robin of sharing what we're looking forward to this, like currently in our sexual happiness, and particularly with Pride coming up. We're all in different spaces, even from a month ago, wouldn't you say, Kodi? Many of us. Yeah. And so it's a really good conversation that we have called Deeper, but a lot of other perks, and like our text Discord community where we just post comments in there all week long and continue the fun. You can go to patreon.com/TAGSPodcast and grab a tier. You will be supporting Tags Podcast. Well, James wrote in there on this Memorial Day weekend to everyone that I recently had this friend that doesn't live in Chicago where James lives, but out in the suburbs, and he's trapped in a relationship. Oh, he needs that amnesia thing that we were just talking about. He's trapped in a relationship and he won't stop texting me. And I know that Steve, meaning me, was talking about this at one point on the show where somebody just incessantly was texting me. I have a story on that, but people who kind of text too much or send a lot of texts for about 3 or 4 days straight, he sends me messages from the wee hours in the morning till midnight, and it's just nonstop, and it's the same thing over and over. Make it stop. Okay, James, we hear you all the way over here in LA. Well, the first thing that I thought about this is how good of a friend is this person? Did he say that already? I had this friend, because if somebody's going through something, you definitely want to be there for them, right? Kodi,
James just put in the chat that he only met this person one time.
Oh, hell to the end to the oh man. Let me just take my script out of here now because I was going to talk about.
I have no notes for this now. What am I to do?
Well, then we're going off the cuff. We're going to revise the situation here. Hell no. And so we're getting a little bit more information in real time, listeners. And James says he is a bottom.
Yup.
Okay, let's not be mad at bottoms here.
No,
He is a bottom. Okay, he's a bottom, and so is his husband. Well, there's the problem there. Damn it. Two bottoms don't make a right, just like two tops. They got married fast, and he's trapped there in bottom land. Yeah, that's a bad place to be. There's stamp, Damon says.
Teddy said that's called lesbianism. Go on.
They were really confused on that marriage. What? How many cats do they have? Yeah, I think they're registered at Home Depot. No, let's pull out all the lesbian
jokes.
Flannel
on, yeah, for sure. He also said that James also said that he tells them everything about. He tells James everything about their relationship and then sends James nudes. What do you think about that?
James, you always get yourself in these situations with these guys. I just like his messages and move on, and he still sends more text. Oh, you literally give him the thumbs up, and that's it. Yeah, you must have made some impression on him. Block. People are saying block.
That was going to be my advice.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I know you're an animal guy, James, and you clearly. You have another situation you told us on our Discord channel before of a guy that really confides in you. But I would just say you don't want to let people run all over you, right, yeah. Kodi? And take advantage because you are a really good listener, because you don't want that to be the name of the game. And this guy is clearly taking advantage of you and your phone. What were you going to say?
A question for James. Yeah. James, do you want to have sex with this man and his husband?
We are waiting in
real time.
In real time. James is the only available top in 20 miles radius, according to Teddy.
Done. The answer no, he does not want to have sex with this man and his husband. Okay, so my advice is to block him completely, or you could be honest. You could be completely honest with him and say, set up the parameters of the relationship. I know you're a nice guy, so if you want to say, I'm not really comfortable talking to you about your husband, and especially about these news that you were sending me. I had somebody in a relationship, and once I set up that boundary, they never crossed it again. Unfortunately, they also stopped texting me, so that might also be a solution for you, is to let them know that you're not interested in them sexually. So I say, set up all the boundaries that you need to set up, because you only met this person one time. You were not trying to, if you were trying to have sex with them, it would be a completely different story. I would say set up the boundaries to where you only need to call me when it's time for me to come and hit it. Okay, that would be my advice. But that's
I love El Ray saying, thank you, El Ray says, tell him to join the podcast for advice. Yeah, if you want, pass the buck over, James, to us. Not to Kodi and Steve, but to TAGSPodcast.
Drama, girl.
No, but tell them to, and we would be happy to give brutal but constructive advice to this guy. I would, for sure, because it sounds like when you have one person that you just go back and forth to, like he's going back and forth to James. I think Teddy said it best in our chat. It's called emotional dumping. It's abusive behavior. That he's really soundboarding it. He's not really asking for keen advice. He's simply every minute posting something to James, and that's not helpful. I think you need to really, if you really want advice on what to do, we could tell you a long time ago, you made that mistake years ago when you were a bottom and he was a bottom, and why didn't you wake up and realize two bottoms don't make a right? I don't know. Yeah, but now you're in the situation now, and he's using a nice guy like James as a sounding board, but it's not working, and it's just, yeah, it's so wrong.
And don't give him our number.
Yes, exactly.
Give him the number to a good therapist.
Yeah, Teddy says, easy. Send him this episode when it comes out.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. What were you going to say, Kodi?
Oh, no. I was just going to read what Damon said. Hey.
Okay.
Oh, okay. TAGSPodcast Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, Daddy also says it sounds like he should get a therapist because obviously he needs some support in his relationship. So come to us for some advice. Come go to the therapist. So I love it.
Yeah. Teddy says, this episode is so interactive. I know you guys are giving us fuel for the fire. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Keep telling us in the chat as well. Don't forget about our original question. How are you approaching Pride Month or Pride? We realize Pride isn't always celebrated in the month of June, wherever you are at, but it is summertime and it is officially Pride Month. So let us know. We'll read them off throughout the rest of the hour, actually. What topic do you want to go to next? Because I think, Kodi, I'm going to let you decide.
Well, we've been trying to get this. Yeah, we've been trying to get to this comics thing for a while.
Okay, then let's do it. Yeah, because you want to get it off your roster.
I want to be able to delete it.
This is great. We waited so long on this topic that now they've actually put it into one article, and it says it started off by why transphobic comics, they're calling them at The Advocate, transphobic comics like Bill Maher, Ricky Gervais, and Bill Chappelle are unfunny dinosaurs. From viewers, so I'll just read you a little bit of this. It's the person writing this says it's the 5th article I had to write about this subject. I've written them individually for Dave Chappelle, Ricky Gervais, and Bill Maher, but thanks to auspicious timing, I can now write one to cover all 3 because they all decided to suck within a couple of weeks of each other. The article is talking about Gervais's recent Netflix special featuring the classic bathroom predator trope that everybody's talking about. Did you hear that one? What Ricky Gervais apparently says in his current special?
I read it. I didn't watch it.
Yeah. So in a different article, Ricky talks about he's pro-trans. However, if he talks literally about the bathroom situation, and if they have a dick going in the bathroom, he likens it to what if a rape happens in a bathroom, and he actually uses the rape when in reality there have been no incidences of rape from a trans person to a hetero person. In fact, who's getting raped mostly are trans people, and who's getting attacked more is the trans community. So he was way off in that joke. We all know about Chappelle and but recently Bill Maher. To me, the two that I get upset with are Ricky and Bill Maher, because Bill Maher really did this whole thing at the end of his show. Some of it was funny and interesting. He did this whole thing on the amount of time that in recent years that people have turned out to be gay and trans. And he did a trajectory over several years. And he said, at this rate, and in the year 2028, everybody is going to be gay. And it was I know, right? We can only hope. It was actually really funny the way he posed it, but the way he came off as an angry white man in the end. For sure. And why do you care? And just like I told at the beginning of the show about Olivia, somebody that went to my friend's restaurant because he says, how do you know who you are when you are a child? You get told what to do and what to do. I'm sorry, maybe when I was a kid or when you were a kid, Kodi, we didn't have the resources, we didn't know who we were. Yeah. But the kids of today...
Well, we were shamed for who we were, basically.
Right, and I didn't ever feel like I could come out and be loud and proud. Yeah. I did a lot of performing, but I didn't feel like I could. But the kids of today have different... You can't compare it to. And like I just told the story of Olivia, who is 11 years old and is a trans boy, but was going in drag and wants to still be called Olivia, give them more credit than or like your friend that's raising kids. I just think, yeah, we need to give kids more credit, and they are sounding like dinosaurs to me, some of these comedians, and they should really give this up. Some of it's funny. I actually watched the whole Bill Maher monologue, and some parts of it were funny, and he had some points to what he was trying to say, but his overall messaging of kids don't know who they are and why are we allowing them to dictate, and at this rate, he's saying people, his whole ultimate argument was kids, and if you put them on hormones, this is all relatively new, but the thing is, a lot of parents don't put their kids on hormones. They are actually just letting them live out as the other gender, so they're not going to that extreme measures until they are of an age. What are your thoughts, Kodi?
I say to these people that worry about kids not knowing about their gender, to look at trans icons like Janet Mock, Laverne Cox, people of that stature in nature. Have you read Janet Mock's book before?
No, you gave it to me and I need to read it. I'll put it on my summer read.
Okay. It's amazing.
Yes,
Janet Mock, she didn't start hormones, I think, until late in her later teens. And she's never looked back. And I think that when you are younger and you have to make these decisions, I agree that maybe you shouldn't be on hormones immediately. Like when you're a kid, you don't necessarily go through puberty until you're 14? I don't.
Correct.
I don't know anything about kids either. I don't have any kids. So I think that the more self-discovery that they're allowed to do, the better off it'll be. As far as Bill Maher and Ricky Gervais and Dave Chappelle, I think that they're all just afraid of losing their stature in this world. They're at the top of the totem pole, and they are really worried about not being top dog anymore. And it's showing in their comedy. They're punching down at people and things that they have no idea about. And they're telling jokes that have no consequence and no basis in reality. Who wants to rape Ricky Gervais? Nobody. He is not attractive. Right. Okay. And I like Bill Maher a lot more when he was dating strippers and had more progressive views.
Yeah.
My opinion on that.
Yeah, I think they don't realize the effect that a lot of their analysis or how they come off, particularly the latter two. I watched the Dave Chappelle special, and we talked about it before. I didn't find it as offensive as many people did, and he actually has a close ally in the trans community that he's friends with, that he ran a lot of this by. So to me, I don't see it as bad, but I do with Ricky and Bill, and I'm big fans of both of them. That's the thing. I still will continue to look after their entertainment on some level, but as they get crankier and crankier with this stuff, when they ignore the fact that there's so much hatred going on, and some of the things that they say can really affect the trans community towards violence and so many horrible things, that I don't think they realize what they're doing. I think they're looking at it as it's ridiculous, it's this, we don't get it, but you don't need to get it. And there's so many other things going on right now that you could poke fun at and humor. Don't do it to the community, like you said, punch down. That is, the statistics of violence towards that community are astronomical. Community punch down to the lowest common denominator community that you can find,
that is really the most in danger. Yes,
right. That's when it's pathetic. And come on, if you call yourself a real comedian, you could find so many other things. I know Bill Maher likes to say it's the elephant in the room, and we have to talk about this stuff, but some of it was funny, but I think he's not looking at the other side of it, the detriment that he's doing to the community. And it's only going to fuel angry, even more right-wing white kids that are going to think it's okay to eliminate the trans community. That's what it's going to do. He's not even looking at it from that standpoint. So
yeah, I agree with you. And since we've been talking about self-discovery, maybe Bill Maher and Dave Chappelle and Ricky Gervais need to open a book and actually learn a little something about trans people and actually raise awareness, use their platform for some good instead of denigrating these people and aligning them to the sidelines. So
absolutely. Well stated. Anything we want to read before we move on to cruising at the gym and cruising in general?
Damon says, funny thing is, Bill Maher is famously marriage phobic and kid phobic. He should sit this one out.
Yes,
and
thank
also
you.
He says that Bill Maher and Ricky Gervais are cranky old men, which we totally agree with. And Teddy asked, did I date Bill Maher? And I told him he's the worst, but a good work friend did. So
really? Okay.
No, not really. It was a joke.
Okay.
He was saying I'm a stripper, and I said no. One of my girlfriends at the strip club did. So
exactly. When we liked him a little bit more. Yes. Well, there's a recent article on Queerty written by Jamie Valentino that got my attention.
Okay.
Quote, the article, My Hot Vax Summer, Why Cruising at the Gym is the Worst and Best Thing Ever. Nothing prolongs my gym workout, he writes, more than another hot guy hitting the weights. Every glance inspires an additional bicep curl. I've shifted from chest to back day to stay within a cruising proximity. I'm not alone. Most of my gay friends who frequently exercise express this sentiment. Many of them have at least one gym crush. That's true. You know that person whose gym routine you mostly ingrained into memory and tried to replicate within your own schedule. You find yourself questioning where the hell they are when they're missing at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday. They typically only work out in the evening on Mondays and Wednesdays. That is until a new, therefore better, handsome stranger shows up.
Yeah.
Oh, I can totally. Well, then he writes, entered the pandemic, 2 pandemics later, and people worldwide experience the tragedy and horniness like never before. He talks about restrictions and gyms reopening, mask mandates dropped. We all scrambled to prepare for the hot vax summer. It's no wonder he talks about the bidet company, Tushy, had a whole campaign, and I think that's hilarious. I was always experiencing a messy breakup with my boyfriend who I lived with, another negative side effect for countless couples caused by COVID. But essentially, he talks about the awkwardness that can happen about meeting people in the gym, those crushes. And what did you get from this article when you read this first? Kodi, when you first saw it?
Well, I don't have any. I only have my boyfriend as a gym crush, so that's my reality right now. So, but went back single. I used to pick up a lot of guys at the gym. I remember this one time. Should I tell us? Is it story time right now? We were working out, and I finished my workout. He followed me into the locker room, and I went to go shower. This was pre-COVID, so I was showering at the gym, and I went to go into the shower stall. He followed me into the shower stall, and we were playing around a little bit. Yeah. And then we actually took it back to his apartment and finished things up. And it was a very
all sweaty
very
and all.
It was great. So
that's really hot. Yeah. I mean, well, it's harder to go up to people. Good for you because a lot of it's eye contact. One of the things
Cruising
they mentioned,
is an art form.
One of the things they mentioned, the cock blocking devices known as the AirPods. I love that cock blocking device. Totally. Because you never know and now they're all earbuds, so you can't really tell who is, it's hard to tell. Yeah. But I do think it's a little bit tricky. I know when I work out in a gym in my building where there's one guy that I had a crush on before. I talked about him on the show, but I think he turned out to be straight. We talk all the time. I really have not been in that culture for a while, except about a year ago, I was here in LA, and Gold's Gym Hollywood is notorious for porn stars, for OnlyFans guys, for actors. It's a huge gym. It's amazing. But you kind of have to get your game on. You have to walk into the gym with confidence, because the minute you walk on that gym floor, eyes are all, you just have to be on.
Showtime.
It's showtime. So I use a little bit of what we learn on this show whenever I go into that gym. And the last time I was there was a guy that I probably wouldn't have totally been my type, but he was cute enough. He kept, throughout the whole week that I bought like a 2-week membership. He kept tapping me, and he would look and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And I would like smile.
That's forward.
Earbuds on. I know that if I gave him a little bit more time a day, I could have gotten together with him.
Some shower time.
Yeah, but the old days for me back in the day would mean flirting with somebody and then cruising in the shower room and having fun, which I've had plenty of fun in a locker room, shower room scene, which can be totally hot. Now I think they patrol them a little bit too much, and I would be nervous to do that unless I was in some remote part of the country, for example. But I think now I would be more inclined to just meet somebody, and who knows, maybe we have a co-host, Lincoln, who's at a gym in Hell's Kitchen where I'm in New York. And I might go there and see who I could, because Lincoln's gym at Temple has got plenty of the gays in there. But I'm going to have to get that same mojo on of, okay, get it together before you, and action type of thing.
And I still think it's still showtime, even though I'm in a committed relationship, because you still kind of want all the eyes on you, even though you're not going to do anything or you're not going to flirt back, but still.
All eyes on me. What is that?
So, yeah. So the kids are going on and on about the steam room.
Never have I ever. Go ahead, read.
They're going on and on and on about the steam room. What? Do you have any steam room stories?
The last steam room story I had that was pretty hot was 24 Hour Fitness, which is in Madison Square Park. Okay. And I went on I want to say it was a Saturday evening, about 6:30 p.m., not very busy, got my workout on, and thought, I'm going to go into the steam room after this. Went in there, sat down, and there was a guy sitting across from me. Now, mind you, where I sat, I had a view of where the person would come and open the door. He was sitting across from me. This young twink of a boy, I'll say, came up, and because he was looking at me, had enough nerve to come up to me. I dropped the towel and started blowing me in the steam room. But as he's blowing me, I'm like panicked because I'm looking for a shadow that's going to open that door at any second. And I was more worried about that. But no, I was hard enough. I didn't get nervous enough. I kept it hard. And he was so happy blowing me in there. And it was very hot. I wanted to reciprocate, but I think somebody was coming in and we got out. He actually jerked off and came. Yeah. And so I didn't even get to blow him because he was so hot and bothered on sucking me off. And then I just put the towel back and I was like, all right, let me just go about my day. But it was really hot and yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
The steam room can be very hot. I'm going to leave it at that.
And 24 hours, WeHos, yes, they've all kind of closed down in the last several years. Blake says it was fun watching the guys at 24 Hour Fitness in WeHo because everyone's gay. Yes, I know. And I would go to this one here in WeHo prior to them closing. Sadness. Mm-hmm. Do you have any steam room stories, Kodi?
I don't know.
Is the door shut over there?
It is. Nobody's coming in.
Okay.
But I have frequented the steam room when I was single back in the day. Long time ago. Maybe like 10 years ago. Okay. But I would just go in there. When you were a young pup. Exactly, darling. I would go in and I would have my regulars that would always be in there with me. Regulars. Yeah, once you get familiar with some people in there, then it's a friendly environment. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I would like to have like the gym that I have now and a gym like that because The reality is you do have to get a lot. You have to get it together to look somewhat decent, I feel. And to get in that mindset that you're going to be flirting, sometimes you just want to, these days, I just want to work out. But I do like the whole, I mean, let's face it, you're sweating, the muscles are out, you're building up testosterone, so your hormones are going. What better place
The
to
blood is
meet up?
pumping.
Grab a protein shake and grab a cock. I mean,
Where's the protein shake coming out of again? I don't.
yeah. What protein are we talking about here? Exactly. All right. We've got about a minute to go through our favorite segment, Straight Up Gay Porns. And this week they asked the question, out of these 25 porn stars, some of them are OnlyFans as well, who took the best photo or video? And it's our job to vividly describe, because we're an audio podcast, which was your favorite. Kodi, what was your favorite?
My favorite was Jet Wayne, mainly because he's in one of my favorite positions, the side doggy style.
Oh, okay. I saw that.
So he's laying on a bed, and it has this gorgeous piece of artwork behind him. And he's in that position, which consists of laying on your side with your ass in the air and your chest kind of up, and you can see the face too. And it's the perfect position because you can play with the nipples and the penis and anything you need to play with, really. And you can kiss, which is the most important part. And you have just a gorgeous view of the ass, and his ass is amazing. So chef kiss to you, Jet Wayne.
Love it. Mine goes to Elijah Zane, who I've seen in some videos recently, maybe because of CyberSocket. He's got this cool blonde kind of fro going on, right, Kodi?
Yeah, he's so cute.
And he's in this video on, if you go to his Twitter account, he says "giving cheese" because he's totally like smiling, over smiling, but it's so cute. He's got a pearl Texas, he must be from Texas, necklace on, beautiful nipples. Ooh. He's got the hugest cock ever and low-hanging balls. I love his cock. It's so beautiful. And for all you feet lovers, he's showing a little bit of his feet there, which are very beautiful and sexy. And just the biggest, hugest grin, like, you know, he's going to be a lot of fun. I've seen him pound in videos, and he seems to be making every boy happy. And so I want to be one of those boys. And so that's why he gets my vote. What are the people saying, Kodi?
The people are saying, James is saying Idolo, who I always vote for. And I was like, I can't vote for Idolo again this week. So, but I saw him, James, and I was gobsmacked. So I'm glad you brought him up. Daddy is saying Gabe Bradshaw because of that ass. Daniel said Micah West. Blake says Robert Royal, who is another one that I saw. And I was like, yes, God. Because I want to know what he's watching that makes him so hard. So I need to know what it's all in because I'm inquisitive. That's why. And Teddy says Kylan, please. And Damon says Spoon. And Blake said it's probably a video of himself. That's what he's watching.
And apparently, according to Teddy, who joined me at CyberSocket Awards, that he was right next to us, meaning
who, Robert Royal or
I believe Elijah Zane is who he's talking about.
He dates Raheem Shabazz.
Well, that I did see them. Oh, I didn't know that. And by the way, Raheem in person looks stunning. Oh, well, I think I was so taken by Raheem. I gotta clear it up. I did that recently too. I was like, did I just drool?
Did I just drool? I gotta clean this seat now. Oh no.
Exactly. That's crazy that he was there next. But I think I was so enthralled with Raheem that I lost it. And so, yeah. These boys, oh my goodness. Well, thank you for playing on this one. Continue giving us your feedback, particularly if you're listening to this as an audio podcast when it comes out. It's episode 370. James, we want to get that guy on the show. Send him our way to give some advice. We give you advice, solicited or unsolicited. You can always DM us at TAGSPodcast on Instagram, and send us your relationship or sex conundrums. We are here for you. And this has been so much fun. Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride, everybody.
Follow my co-host. He's a life coach at KMD Coaching, or his personal account at Mr. Maurice. And follow us at TAGSPodcast. And in the meantime, you guys, continue having, dreaming, imagining about hot,
gay
sex.
Yes. I was